Hello and welcome to our next Excel video. This one is going to be about formatting different information in Excel and different odds and ends that we can do while we're in here. The first thing that I want to show you is the zoom feature. This information I have is kind of small on here and I want you to see it really well. So if you go into it from our home screen, you go up to the top, over to View, and click on the View button, and you'll see the View ribbon appears. What we're interested in is this zoom icon right here. If you click on it, you'll see different options for zoom, or you can do a custom option. For me, 200% is too big, but I like 150%. So I say OK, and now you can see the information's a lot bigger, a lot easier for you to see as you're watching the tutorial. Now, as far as formatting is concerned, here I've got a table of information. This is Mrs. Sullivan's art class. These are different projects that she had, 5 different students, and the grades that they earned on each project. Right now, I've just typed the information in, but if I were to print this out, it would be really kind of confusing. For one thing, the names are not even all shown. So we want to reformat that so we can see it better. For another thing, if this were to print out, all of these lines that you see that make up the cells would not print out. So if I want to print it out so that the table is shown with lines, I have to put those in. So the first thing I want to do is make this column, column A, bigger so that you can fully see each of these names. So one thing I can do is go up here and just drag over. If we go into the A column and go over toward the edge, you'll see that the cursor becomes a vertical black line with arrows on either side. Click there, and then you can move it left or right to make this as big as you want. One trick, if you want to make it real easy on yourself, if you start out with it small, if you go up here and just double click on the A, so double click, you'll notice that it went out and it went this large because the biggest thing in column A is Mrs. Sullivan's art class. And so it made it large enough to accommodate all of that. The next thing I want to do, now that I've got the names showing, so just like you can widen the columns, you can also widen the rows if you wanted. It's not really necessary in this case, but I'll show you. For example, if we go down to row 7, move it toward the bottom, and here we've got a horizontal line with arrows pointing up or down. Click on that and drag up or down to make it bigger or smaller. So that's making the rows and the columns larger. Now another thing that's useful, if I have a heading like Mrs. Sullivan's art class, maybe I don't want that heading just to be on top of the column A, but on top of the entire set of data here. What I'm going to do is highlight this and highlight across all the way, row 1 all the way to column E. I can make it all one if I go back to the Home tab and click this Merge and Center. What this does, you can see in the picture, it's going to take all of these and make it a single cell, and the information is going to be centered over it. So I click on that. Now we have one cell that spans from cell A to cell E, and the title, Mrs. Sullivan's art class, is centered right on top of that. The next thing we want to do is go ahead and make dark lines around everything on this data table. So if we highlight the entire table, so start by clicking on the Mrs. Sullivan's art class, scroll all the way down, we can go up to this little box right here, right next to bold, italics, and underline. So right here, click on the down arrow, and you'll see these are different borders that we can give it. If we want borders on every cell, I go over here to all borders. If you only want borders on one place or the other, you can choose one of these, bottom, top, left, right. You can also choose different thick, top and bottom, double borders, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to click on all borders. And you'll see now there's a line around everything. So if I were to go ahead and print this, now lines would print on all of this. Now another thing I want to talk about, all of these numbers, right now they are aligned to the right. That's fine, but what if I wanted them centered in the center or on the left? What I can do is highlight all of the numbers, and then go here to the alignment information, and you can click on these pieces down here. This one will put them all in the center, this one left aligns them, this one over here right aligns them. Above that, we've got alignment up and down. Again, because our rows are not overly thick, right, we can't really tell the difference, but if you look at this after we make it bigger, you can see how it's bottom aligned. And if I did this, now it's top aligned and middle aligned. So you have a lot of options with this alignment. I also want to show you about this wrap text. Suppose I have in here, I really love art class, the projects, whoops, okay, JECTS, are super fun. Now right now, all of this bleeds over. If I were to type something here, like hi, it covers up what was underneath here. If I want to show all of this, one option is to wrap text. So I can click on A10 where I typed that big sentence, then click on wrap text, and you'll see it brought that whole thing and it wrapped it down so it's in the same cell. Now this does make the cell bigger so that it will all fit, but that's fine if you don't mind having a bigger cell there. If you have other formatting questions, you can always click on a cell, right-click, and go to the Format Cells link. From here, you have different options with numbers, for example. You could do accounting. Here, let me cancel this. Let me type in 15. So if I click on Format Cells, general and number are going to look pretty similar. General is just however you typed it in. Number means you've got a certain number of decimal places. So suppose I wanted 5 decimal places. You'll see that the 15 will come out as 0.0000 with 5 decimal places. Here we've got currency, which will format it with dollar signs. There's date formatting, time, percentage, all kinds of stuff. So if there's something that you want in particular, you can play around with this menu and see what you want to find. Same thing with alignment, font, border, all sorts of stuff. So you can really get into this menu to look at a lot of different ways to basically change this one cell. For example, here I can make it yellow. So now I've got a yellow in percent symbols. So that is all about formatting. If you have any questions, let your instructor know.